Hey everyone, Dean Seifert with BirdReel. Thanks for joining us for a few minutes today. I wanted to go over a couple things related to how to mount your BirdReel smart bird feeder or your smart bird house. One of the most common questions we get when people call us on the 800 number is, hey, I got this great new feeder, how am I going to put it in my yard, or how do I mount it? And there are a lot of ways to mount it using the existing brackets that come into the devices, but the best way to mount it is using the Wild Birds Unlimited APS pole system. So that's what we're going to talk about for a few minutes today, and I'll talk about the advantages of why the pole system is the best way to go. So if you go to your local Wild Birds Unlimited, you're going to find an entire wall of mounting hardware. But the best way to get started is using one of these pre-box sets. So this is the APS hanging pole system, and it comes with all the things that you need to get everything set up in your backyard for a typical bird feeder. And so you've got a double crook for hanging it, you've got a finial at the top, a long extension 48-inch pole, and then a base pole, as well as stabilizers to put this into your backyard. This can also be retrofitted to work with your BirdReel smart bird feeder as well, using a couple different options, which we'll talk about. The other way to go is this kit, which simply has the 4-foot poles and extension pole, but then also has a flange included so you could mount a house or a hopper feeder. For our purposes, we don't need that flange because we're not going to put the hopper feeder at the top, we're going to put a BirdReel feeder. So let me show you what these look like when they kind of come out of the box. So first of all, as I mentioned, you've got an extension pole and then a base pole and then a stabilizer at the bottom. Because we're not putting this into the dirt, it looks a little bit different, but if you looked at this out of the box, it would have a little curly-Q piece at the bottom that gets screwed into the ground. The other thing you'll notice is that we've got this little device here called a tube feeder adapter. And so this is the magic part. This actually screws directly into the base of the BirdReel bird feeder. And so we've retrofitted this particular design so that this piece screws right in the bottom, and you can tighten it with that friction washer, and then you simply just slide it onto the top and pop it on. That's the best way to mount it, is using this system in that way. Now we've got an optional raccoon baffle on this one. There's also a squirrel baffle we'll talk about in a minute. But since you're investing in this BirdReel feeder, it's also best to make sure that you protect it using a squirrel baffle or a raccoon baffle. A little bit more investment, but it'll be well worth it to keep the squirrels and raccoons off your feeder. So this is the BirdReel songbird feeder. We also have a hummingbird feeder called the HM01. Same kind of setup, but on this side we've got a squirrel baffle, a little bit shorter. Again, you mount these about 4.5 feet off the ground to keep the squirrels and raccoons from being able to shimmy up that. But these work really, really well out in the field. For the hummingbird feeder, if you look at the back, it comes with this mounting bracket, which has also been retrofitted to use this tube feeder adapter. So if you do get this set up at Wild Birds, tell them you're using it for a BirdReel to make sure that they sell you one of these 811E tube feeder adapters. Really important piece. You don't want to go home without it. Now finally, for the birdhouse, very similar setup. This is the NH13 birdhouse. This is for bluebirds, chickadees, titmice, and other types of smaller birds. We use a very similar flange. So if you come around here to the back, you'll see we've got another metal mounting bracket here that goes onto the back of the feeder. And then this bracket has 2 thumb hole screws, one on the side and one on the back. And so using these thumb screws, you can essentially use these pole systems or just a regular bluebird pole, and you slide that over this 1-inch tube, and you mount it basically at whatever height you want, and just tighten that completely. Pretty simple, pretty easy, and that's the way to do it. So if you have any questions, you can always contact us at birdreel.com, support@birdreel.com, or you can call us at 1-833-459-7770. Hope everybody's having a great day, and happy birding.